doctors, including maybe my next guest, Dr. Caudle, family physician over at Rona University, associate professor as well. Doctor, a lot of these states are ignoring guidelines that were established by the CDC, and the president himself pushed to sort of get the green light on slowly opening things up. Now, that's up to governors, and they weigh a lot of other matters. But some of the guidelines, like 14 straight days of improvement, either on the infection and or hospitalization front, they are ignoring because they're not seeing it. What do you make of that? Well,
it's dangerous and it's scary. And you know, again, Neil, we talk every week, and one of the things is we know this country has to open up. We know it's the first thing I need to say. This is not a matter of saying the country does not need to open up. It shouldn't open up. People need to go to work. People need incomes. People need to be able to take care of their families and have a livelihood. This is not an issue of that, but rather this is an issue of how to do it safely, and what proper protocols and procedures need to be in place so that we can do this safely. Ignoring these guidelines and ignoring sort of the rules and sort of stipulations set by health officials is not wise, in my opinion. The last thing we need is to go backwards. You know, all states are not out of the woods. Some states are doing better, but some are not. Some regions are not. We can't go backwards, and that's what I'm afraid of.
You know, another aspect they look at, and you were way ahead of this, Doctor, the percentage of tests that come back positive. Now, a lot more states are getting a lot more testing done, and yet there have been, if anything, increases in some of these positive cases reported. Now, in other states, the trend is their friend. It's going down, but with more testing, of course, there's always the risk that you're going to get cases that you didn't think you had that you do have. So what are the guidelines you think states should try to follow?
Well, the states really should follow the guidelines set by the CDC and our sort of our task force officials. You know, our healthcare officials and our public health officials. This is really of all the things that they are amazing at. This is one of the huge strengths. What we're talking about with coronavirus is really a public health emergency. That's what this country and the world is going through right now. And we have to listen to our experts when it comes to testing and guidelines for reopening. And you're right, Neil. You know, testing has been an issue forever, and in different aspects. We're seeing different parts of testing now become a problem. Something's getting better. But as we have more testing, which, by the way, is a good thing, we will get more cases. That is inevitable. That is also something that we need to expect and we need to be able to prepare for. But we got to listen to our public health folks. We have to.
Doctor, real quick, in New York, 62% of the reported cases, and sadly, almost similar percentage when it comes to deaths, came in the New York metropolitan area, most of them. And of that percentage, the overwhelming, were doing all the things they were told to do. Sheltering at home, doing everything the government and state officials had told them to do, and yet these cases continue stubbornly high. What do you make of that if we might have it wrong, that mitigation eliminates or significantly deteriorates this risk?
Well, you know, Neil, I'm not really sure that we have it wrong. I believe very strongly in mitigation and sort of social distancing and all the measures that we've been talking about. And the science is telling us, according to our public health officials and other doctors and folks, that this is one of our best strengths. Now, when you say, well, then why do we have so many cases, which essentially I think is the question. It's a good question. But remember, there's so many variables that go along in this. Neil, you and I have been talking about this since, I mean, what, February? And since then, or even before maybe, there have been so many different things that have happened. Remember, you know, our borders didn't close until a certain point. We didn't have adequate testing for a certain point. We didn't really even know where the cases were coming from and how they were coming. There were so many variables and unknowns. And this is not a message of implying fault. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. I'm just saying that there are so many variables with this condition and all the things that we've gone through. All of that has contributed to where we've ended up. And then you throw on top of that the fact that we have this infectious virus that literally can be spread pretty easily. You know, it's basically a big pot of stuff. Neil, that's what I make of it. So, you know, yeah, I think we need to keep going with mitigation, social distancing, wearing masks. I think we need to be very, very cautious as we open up the country. I still think those are our best bets.
All right, Dr. Caudle, heed her words, everyone, because back in February when he first had her on, she was among the first medical personnel I know who had warned, this is not a passing sort of a situation. Do not dismiss this coronavirus. She was quite prescient on that, and I'm talking early February. Keep that in mind. Dr. Caudle, thank you very, very much.